Obviously, a tough loss for us on the road. Certainly, just watching tape, proud of just the effort and the ability to stay in the fight the entire time and give us a chance to win there at the end of the game. But back to work. We have a lot of good leaders. We have 26 seniors, I believe, having an opportunity to play their last game at Autzen Stadium, which means the world to our guys. So, looking forward to a great opportunity here this coming Saturday.
Questions right here on the front left, James.
Get an update on Jake and Jalen Mario, and then elsewhere on the O-line, I didn't see George Moore travel, and since you're trying to redshirt Steven, does that leave Forsyth, Sala, Butasi as the next in line?
Okay, we feel Jalen Red is healing up really well and feel he's probably going to play. Feel the same way about Jake Hansen. George Moore is just from a personnel standpoint, just another guy had a better week. Another guy that was not mentioned, Hockey was banged up last week. He did not make the trip. Just put that in there as a note. Who else did you mention from, I know KT went down late, but he was fine. Just took a shot. Jake Hansen, we feel he's going to be well as well. In terms of Stephen Jones, if the opportunity comes up where he needs to play, he will be ready to play and will. We feel CJ is going to be fine as well. Was very physical in his pass protection as well as the way he ran the ball, so got a little bit dinged up, but we feel he's going to be all right.
Here on the right, AJ.
Coach, last year after the Washington State game, the next game was another road game at Arizona. Very, very tough, both losses. I remember talking to guys after that Arizona game, and they said, we had residual distractions, things like that from the week before. Going into this next week, how do you guard against, or do you need to guard against something like that happening?
I think you spend the entire season on guard against any kind of distraction. I think it's human nature. I think the fight against human nature is endless. I think it's tireless and nonstop. I do believe that. And I do believe as noise around a program grows, you always have to be that much more alert and wary and make sure that you're always on the attack and on the defense. But that being said, I think just the fact that this is such a huge rivalry, this is such an important game to our players, our university, our community, the fact that Oregon State is playing really good football and they have a really good football team. I think there's so many factors and so many things. The last game for our seniors in Autzen Stadium, I mean, this is everything you would want in a college football game, especially for your last one of the regular season. I think, and I feel very confident we'll be very dialed and focused in.
Right here, Eric on the left.
Just talk about the progress you've seen in Oregon State. I mean, I think that's a program the last couple of years that hasn't been particularly competitive, but they've been really good the last couple of months and competitive in all their games and won a lot of them too.
Yeah, I think they've always been, a team that has talent has always been competitive, and I have a tremendous amount of respect for Jonathan Smith, what he does. He's an excellent football mind, and I know their offense gets a ton of credit, and they deserve it because they're averaging somewhere in the range of 42. If not for one game, they'd be in the 50s for their last 4 or 5 games. But I can't say enough about their defense and the way they're playing, the way they're bringing multiple pressures from all over the field, corner fires, safety fires, linebacker blitzes, zone dogs. Really impressive with the type of energy they're playing with. They're forcing negative plays. I know that, one of their players is second in the country in sacks and tackles for losses. They've been very disruptive and very opportunistic. So I think our players and our coaches fully understand that this is one of those games that's a tremendous challenge, and it's going to be a tremendous atmosphere, and we're looking forward to Saturday.
Can you talk about the challenges that Isaiah Hodgins could present for you guys on Saturday?
Well, he's one of the best in the country, hands down, and he is a complete wide receiver, very polished. And by that I mean he could take you down the field and go deep. He could run his double move stuff as good as anybody out there. His stutters, great intermediate route runner, great in the quick game. Really cuts down the flight time of the ball, catches the ball with his hands really well, can make you miss and take it to the house. There's nothing that he can't do. He's great on screens. He's great at stretching the field, and he's a very good blocker. So it's not only the fact that he can catch the ball and hurt you, he's very dynamic in how he fits into the rest of the offense schematically as well as the run game.
In the middle, Warren, front row.
Mario, kind of along AJ's question, I don't see this team as having a fragile psyche. I want to ask you about mood. What was the mood like with the players inside the locker room? And then, we talked about your leadership council. How instrumental were they, or have they been in these last 24 hours, even today, or have they?
Well, we're continuing to elevate our own expectations for ourselves. So after a game like that, you're going to be upset. You're not going to be happy. You're going to be down. And it should be that way. We talked as a team, and that's as quiet as a plane ride as I've ever been on, and not by a little. And you know what? It should be that way. If it wasn't that way, I'd be really disappointed, and I'd say that, you know what? We've got the wrong guys. And so that was a mood as it relates to that. In terms of understanding that you can never allow yourself to get beat twice by the same team and popping right back into what you need to prepare for the next one. Our leadership council and coaches, the team as a whole, when we meet, we recognize, assess, understand good things, bad things, things that must improve to go on and get better. And we did that, and immediately right back on, shaking it off and going on to the next one, and understanding that we're playing a really good football team that's got a lot to play for, and we feel we're a really good football team that has a lot to play for. So some of it takes care of itself, and the rest of it, the culture is taking over it.
All right, Jerry.
Yeah, Coach, in reference to the Oregon State offense, at Corvallis, Washington completely shut them out the second half. Not a first down. Also, Utah completely shut them down. Maybe getting in the passing lanes, hands up with the defensive lineman. So, how did Washington do that? Because I would think you were on par, if not better, of a defense. I would think. So, does that give you a lot of hope, or did you learn some things from watching that? I assume you have.
I think anytime you watch somebody else play an opponent that you're about to play, and they have successes, you have to take it with how does it fit to what you do, and is it really scheme related? Is it personnel related? Did the other team just have an off day or whatnot? And it's a little bit of everything. So yeah, there's some stuff to take out of it, and some other stuff where you don't have much use for. But when I look at them offensively, I look at them as a team that when they have been stopped, they kind of stop themselves. They haven't just been shut down. And maybe there was a breakdown in protection here or there that prevented a big play down the field, or a missed block that prevented a run from splitting the defense in that particular game that you mentioned. So, but I don't see them as a type of operation where somebody's come in and, I know Utah had a really good game against them, but overall I think that's an offense that, has had great success against everybody, and the self-inflicted wounds has hurt it more than it's been stopped.
All right, AJ.
Coach, let me get back to my notes here. Oh, yeah. Coverage breakdowns a little bit uncharacteristic of this team, but against Arizona State, there were several. Were these identifiable, correctable things that you've addressed and we're not going to see again?
Well, we all believe so. And I think the most important thing is, after having so much progress and success at that particular position and in coverage, you stick by your guys, you ride with your guys. They made some really big plays. There's no doubt about it. And it's very correctable because scheme is attached to technique, is attached to eye discipline. They all go hand in hand. And if you're off in any one of those aspects in that particular play or on that particular call, it's when it can get you. And it got us. And it's a tremendous learning lesson. There's a lot of pride in our group. And as coaches, we take it as we got to teach it that much better. We got to do a better job making sure that we are hitting on all these things so that we don't have a breakdown. So, because as you know, there's a consequence that comes with it, and we paid that price. So, but we feel really confident in our guys back there. We feel real confident in being able to correct those things, to schematically enhance those things as well, to have a better day on Saturday.
Front left, James.
Couple more, and looking back at film, Mario, on offense, I know you're kind of base 11, base 12, depending on what you're looking at, but were you a little bit more 12 at times because Jalen wasn't going? Did you want to go more two tight ends, in particular on the run game? And then on the second play, how does that result in a loss when there's 10 defenders on the field? Defensively, there was also a lot of missed tackles beyond pass coverage. How do you go about correcting that on the defensive side?
Yeah, we go 12 personnel sometimes because it dictates what they're going to put in the game. If we feel that we have a run advantage or a play action or a pass advantage, we'll go with it. We saw things on tape that we felt they would do. They did some, and they did things that were very different than what they had shown, particularly when it comes to stunning and moving. In terms of, plays and their success or whatnot, they're all learning lessons one way or the other. There's some good, there's some bad, but we feel it's all correctable. But overall, we when we were on point, we had some pretty good success. And when we got off balance, out of rhythm, we didn't look very good at times. And but we feel it's all very correctable. We feel that towards the end of the game, we started getting in rhythm and moving the ball, but it's a little bit too late.
On the right, Ryan.
Mario, you mentioned the seniors. I'm curious, what do you think your emotions will be when they introduce those guys on Saturday, given, that they helped you establish your program, you helped them turn things around, and a lot of those guys were pretty vocal in wanting you to get the job after 2017.
Oh, no doubt. I mean, we view this all as our program. I mean, anybody that touches this program is part of this family, and that's why I think that Oregon will always be unique and special and different. You don't hear many people say I and my and that kind of stuff. And it's this is my third year here, so a lot of these guys were puppies in their second year. So yeah, that's that last one. I mean, there's no time to think about it and get all misty and whatnot because we got a really physical game to play. After the game, that's something to reflect upon. Yeah, it is hard. That is hard, man. You only have a certain amount of snaps in your career, and you'd like it to be that with every snap that you play, that you show in the way that you play that this thing means more to you than it does to the people you're playing against. And that's the way that this senior class, I think, is defined. I think when they play, whether it's in Autzen Stadium or on the road, as we have learned to play better over the last couple of years, I think that's kind of their stamp. That's their legacy, and super proud of them. And more than anything, just really focus on them having the best performance they can on Saturday.
In the middle, Warren.
Mario, I think by and large, Justin has made good decisions in the RPO game. Do you have a feeling that you'd rather not see him run? It looks like he's had some opportunities to pick up first downs or gain some plus yardage, but what's your feeling on allowing him to actually run rather than sit back and pass?
Well, I mean, it's no secret that we're not a quarterback run driven offense. And, it's also a pretty big reason why he's been upright for 11 games too now. You see a lot of teams around the country, they lose their guys as the season goes on due to, maybe running a guy too much or just wrong place, wrong time, right? I mean, football's football and it's unforgiving and it could happen at any point in time. But he does have the green light to run. We have designed more stuff to do so, but we trust him 100% to make whatever decision necessary. And you know what? And we trust him to be aggressive. So there are times where the number count might be the right count. There might be times where he might be able to run and get a couple of chunk yardage plays, but it also might have an opportunity to get the ball and push it down the field. And we do so with the amount, like if you watch his success rate, his grades on that, they're off the charts. We trust him 100%, and we're going to continue to roll with that type of mindset.
On the left, Eric.
Oregon State hasn't played in a bowl game since 2013. Obviously, if they won on Saturday, that changes. Can you speak to maybe the desperation or kind of the urgency they're going to have and maybe how that makes them more or less dangerous?
I don't think there's any desperation. Again, like I said before, I think Jonathan Smith is an excellent coach and person. And, they're doing so many good things. And when you watch them on offense, they're probably one of the hottest offenses in the conference, one of the better ones in the country. And again, the defense to me matches in terms of their intensity, their passion, and the way that they're elevating, their processes, the way they're having that much productivity. I just think it's a really good football team with a lot to play for. We have a really good football team with a lot to play for. And that's how rivalry games should be. It should be incredibly intense. It should be incredibly physical. And I don't think either side would want it any other way, right? That's what we all want towards the end of November, last game of the season, the Civil War. It's going to be a great afternoon.
Front left, James.
Couple on CJ Mario. You mentioned the pass protection. He puts one linebacker momentarily in concussion protocol. He takes on another hit, and it leads to a stinger. How much? It's obviously been something he's prided himself on. How much has he gotten better even over the last year? Because it was his pass pro that led to the hit on Justin. It's not his fault, but they overloaded the left side. The rock was there, etc. And how much has this pass pro impacted his durability? Because he's not been a factor in the passing game the last 3 weeks, in part because he hasn't finished games.
Yeah, but you know what? It's like Coach Mastro lets those guys know, if you can't block, you can't carry the ball. He's done a tremendous job blocking. He's really elevated it. And you saw how physical he was. he's a guy that throws his body around, and that's the way football should be, right? You have to be reckless. You have to be physical. And there comes a price with that sometimes. But, the bottom line is even though he may get knocked down, he does find a way to get up. He always gets up one more time than he gets knocked down. And he may have to do that for a while until he is completely healthy. And as long as he is cleared medically, because we're never going to put any one of our guys in harm's way, right, as a student athlete, as long as he and whoever else is involved in playing does that, we're going to be just fine. It's a fighter's mentality, and he has that.
On the right, AJ.
Coach Johnny Johnson III really looked nice. Really had a good game against Arizona State. Talk about his progress and what he's now bringing to the table and the separation he's getting and presenting himself to Herbert.
Yeah, he's he's the ultimate grinder. You've watched him, for a couple of years and how much time and effort he puts into it. And his moments are getting bigger and getting more important, and he's really capitalizing on that. He's really coming on strong at the right time. I think it's interesting to see if you watch the way the ball's been distributed offensively for us. It's like certain guys have had their returns, right? It hasn't been like one particular guy all year round, which makes it more difficult to defend. And Saturday was definitely Johnny. It was Johnny's night, and he really came up big. And honestly, in the way that the different things that were done with him, it lends us to think that he's, there are other things in the offense that we feel he could be really, really good at. So his role will continue to expand, and he's going to have a great career here.
Last question here in the middle, Warren.
Most important question of them all. What's favorite Thanksgiving memory, and what are you guys and the team going to do on Thanksgiving Day, and do you have a favorite dish?
Favorite Thanksgiving memory? I think my favorite part about Thanksgiving is that we're practicing, and getting ready for a game. What am I now? 49. I can't remember the last time Thanksgiving was here and we weren't practicing. I wouldn't know what to do with myself. I really wouldn't. So I thank God for that. I think that's the greatest thing in the world. And we will practice. We will practice and give thanks for all our many blessings. And, instead of our lunch meal, it will be a Thanksgiving spread. But it's a business week. It's a business week. And I think we all know in this football life, as a player, as a coach, as an AD, a pres, this is your work time. And our guys understand that. And I think it makes you appreciate everything that much more when we do so. So it'll be all about business and to have the best week of prep we could possibly have.